Hello there. Oh well, yeah. I'm still channeling. I'm trying to keep my mind occupied. I'm not working at the moment, so I'm trying to organise stuff in the house. And I wanted to find pictures of me and my dad to send to get shown at some point during this funeral, which I'm dreading a week this Monday. And I could only find 3 of me as a child with my dad. Now, I'm not to blame because I was only a child. We didn't have mobile phones then. And then I found, I think, 3 more that my wife had taken in about 10 years ago, which is when he was in good health. He was a guy I probably want to remember more at that point. I've got more memories of. However, in my exploration to try and find more photographs, and one particular one's missing, and which I'm really devastated about, because we've realised that we've not seen it for a quarter of a century, which is my dad holding me as a baby at a place called the Shell House in Bournemouth, which no longer exists. Ironically, I took a photo of my old music centre and the picture's there, so I do have a picture of it, because it was sort of, at least there's something of it. But as I was going through my stuff today, yesterday, I found this. Now what this is, well, you can't read it from there, I'll read it out to you. This was me writing down a few things just in case I wouldn't forget them, about a visit by one of the elders to our hall. This particular elder in Rutherglen was a guy called Brian Lowe. I'm not too sure how I ended up him being my elder, because I was just around the corner from the Kingdom Hall, but I think I was sent to go to be the servant in the group when we used to meet in people's houses, about 15 minutes away by car, or something, 10 minutes. And I was the servant there, and I think this is the reason why he came round to see me. Now, this particular superfine apostle, he's been a servant like me and others at the time. And, to become an elder, you don't need to have any qualifications. You don't need to, go to university, get diplomas, or, get honours degrees or anything. You just have to suck up the most influential elders in the congregation, find out which ones they are, and then when the circuit overseer came round, make sure you took him out and impressed on him, and then you become an elder. And this guy Brian Lowe was a window cleaner, another window cleaner, high qualifications, and he becomes an elder. At first, before he was a servant, he used to moan about the elders in the Rutherglen congregation, how he was wanting to change them all, all this and all that. And he used to just talk about them behind his, different ones behind their backs. We all used to moan about them. And once he did become an elder, I remember that I congratulated him, and I just thought, well, finally he'll go inside and change things. But I think he realised at that point that he couldn't actually influence any changes at all. And the only people he could then oppress were the people who used to be the people below him, who were the servants, including me. So I have given this story once before of this particular guy. He was an elder at this point, I believe, and we'd done 2 weddings, a witness band at 2 weddings. And we'd do the Ceilidh tapes first, where everybody was doing the Ceilidh dancing, and then we'd move on to some slow dancers dancing, and then sped up a few things. Songs we did were A Little Respect by Erasure. We did a fantastic rock and roll medley. Simply the Best was in there by Tina Turner. you know, just a short set of more modern, you know, and when you go rock and roll, man, you were going back to the 50s and the 60s, wasn't that modern. Did a few Beatles songs, you know, this and that. But he absolutely detested it. He detested that the fact that we'd managed to get brothers and sisters to dance to, he referred to it as worldly music, even though ceilidh dancing is worldly music, because wasn't the brothers who wrote the ceilidh songs, and definitely the titles. And of course, when it's the old chestnut of, oh, we can't have much physical interaction, you get complete physical interaction when you're doing ceilidh dancing, more that if you're dancing with somebody who's just, you know, there's 3 foot in between you and them, and you know, you don't even have to physically touch them at all, apart from drag them up onto the dance floor. So he came to see me. He never came with another elder who maybe have a more objective viewpoint. He came to me with his own agenda, and his agenda was that he was going to come to my house and rip me a new arsehole. He was going to rip me a new spiritual arsehole, which is ironic that I was getting ripped a new spiritual arsehole by a total arsehole. But anyway, I took a few notes just after it, because after he left, I was absolutely raging. Now the problem with this is, as you're probably aware, that when elders come and visiting, you have to accord them the respect that they are representing Jehovah at that time, and so you have to sit there and take both barrels of any bullshit they want to fire in your direction. All these, you know, these guys here are not qualified to even half the time give any advice, because after all, they're only window cleaners. They're not psychiatrists or psychologists. You know, they've got no qualifications to do anything. They've reinterpreted some verses in a very old book which anybody can interpret themselves, and then they put their own agenda into that. Now this is what he said. So I wrote this down. When this actually happened, I think I was in my mid-30s. So I've had this, you know, box of other stuff for nearly 30 years. And even reading it now still really makes me angry. Anyway, this is the sort of bullet points of what he said. It's a tricky one because I'm trying to read my own dodgy handwriting. So he said, and I used to rehearse on a Friday night with the other brothers in the hall. It wasn't I was in a worldly band, it was other brothers that went on a Friday night. On a Saturday on a Saturday afternoon we all went down to a place to play football. But football okay with the brothers, not going out on a Friday night. Leaving your wife and your children to play football with the brothers and go for a drink afterwards is okay, but not on a Friday night to leave your wife and your child, or I didn't have any children at the time, to play worldly music, isn't it? So anyway, well, this is what he said, this is a bullet point, goes out on a Friday, leaves his wife, asks prayers, obviously most prayers, answers, so I give prayers at the hall, I give answers, must love the truth. He's saying, so you must love the truth, you give prayers, you answer, you must love the truth. So how is this compatible with being in a band? So how is it compatible, me going on a Friday night, me leaving my wife in her own so she can watch all the programmes she wants to watch, and we didn't even drink alcohol, so we all went there and get absolute rat-arse Roger. We didn't, because none of us really drunk. Did the music, rehearsed, came back. How is that compatible with saying prayers at the meetings and giving answers? Bizarre. So he said this to me. Basically, I'm having to put myself in the fourth person here. When you come home at night, I wonder, that's him wondering about me. When you come home at night, I wonder, after band practice, what I must say to Jehovah in prayer. Oh my God. So after I've spent 3 hours, you know, trying to remember the bass line to an Aztec camera song, or I saw her standing there, that how can I then come home and say and pray, Jehovah, you know, I'd like to help me to please get that tricky part at the beginning of I saw her standing there, really strong, Jehovah, please help me. It's just, honestly. And here's him saying, I see the qualities of a ministerial servant, and I think that I have undermined these are his words that I quickly wrote down when he fucked off and left. I see the qualities of a ministerial servant, and I think that I have undermined in my position in the congregation, that the finger of accusation can be pointed at me. So I'm a servant, and because I do this band rehearsal on a Friday night and do these songs, that I've undermined in my position as a servant, and that the finger of accusation can be pointed at me for no longer being a servant. He gave example of congregation dues with band playing. He said, but they do music from the 50s and 60s, because I was saying, oh, we do music from the 50s and 60s, and he was saying, yeah, that's modern music, and this is the conversation happening in the early 90s, I think. It's like, it's not modern music, it's like 30 years old. The ours is bad because it's modern, and also some people are doing the twist and doing a bit of jiving from the 50s. When I gave assurance that we tried to vet our songs so that people won't be offended, that he says I must be listening to a lot of rubbish to select the good songs. So in other words, what he's saying is, because we were saying that we carefully select songs that won't upset other brothers in the congregation, that for us to vet our songs, that I must listen to a lot of other rubbish to say, right, these are, nobody can be offended by these songs, so I'm opening my ears to listen to a lot of bad music. He says that I must be kidding myself on if I think it's not affecting me by playing Johnny Be Good, or Twist and Shout, or I Saw Her Standing There. And I had to stand there and listen to this. Now, ironically, and me and Dino have spoken to this before, so all these songs are all wrong, these are all bad, these affect, this would, mean I couldn't be a servant in the hall, and everything else. And I think at the time Dino was in the band, and he was a servant, but he liked Dino, so he wasn't going to say to Dino, Dino, can I have a little word with you here? You're undermining your position in the congregation, and how can you go home at night and say prayers with your wife? And at one point, Paul Bailey was also in the band, another servant. So within that band, there were 3 servants, but he only went after me. He only went after me because Paul Bailey was the son of, I think, one of the presiding overseers at the time, and Dino was his mate. So, of course, pick the obvious victim. Now, the thing about this is, me and Dino just talked about this a few weeks ago because I was referencing this, ironically then going to find this. When we go to the origins for Kaylee music, which he's all happy with, let's just have a look at some of these titles. A lot of Kaylee music origins come back to clans having a good dance after going out and butchering a clan in the nearby valley. So then it sort of got changed to sort of military dancing. So some of the titles to these songs that we would dance to: The Dashing White Sergeant, Strip the Willow, which obviously I think's got even more earthy pagan connotations, the Military Two-Step, the Cumberland, which I think referenced the Duke of Cumberland, of course, defeated the Jacobites at Culloden in April 1746, and then went on to massacre a lot of the Highlanders. Wonderful man. Saint Bernard's Waltz, there's another one. And let's not forget the Gay Gordons. So these are a few songs here. I haven't bothered even looking into their backgrounds, but clearly going by the titles, you could go back and say the origins started in maybe the 18th century, whatever it is, and clearly they were written by worldly people. But apparently they're okay. But according to this guy here, they're all right, but Johnny Be Good and I Saw Her Standing There were wrong. They would be spiritually damaging me and the congregation, but doing the Gay Gordons wouldn't. So there we have it. And unfortunately, this is the problem with the whole of this thing, is that we then, because of their position in the congregation, because they're like Jehovah standing in front of us, I'm here representing Jehovah, well, you just have to stand there and take it. And I remember this conversation only occurred in the hall. Literally, I think there was a chapel door opened up, and we never even got, I never even said, do you want a coffee and a cake? In fact, I was, if I'd given a cake, I just maybe hoped he'd choked in it. I think this conversation just had in our hall. I don't even think he took his shoes off. But there you go. I just wish only but bad things for Brian Lowe, to be honest with you, because this utter arrogance is incredible. And if any time, if we ever go, if me and Dina are in Glasgow and we see this man again, we see this man again, I'll remind him of this. There it is. It's 30. I'm not going to keep it in my wallet, obviously, but I'll remind him of this. If I get the opportunity, because the man 30 years ago, me, was still under this, this the way it all pans out. And I had to stand there and take up this utter bullshit by an utter bullshitter. But obviously, I wouldn't take it now. In fact, he wouldn't have got in these days. He wouldn't have got across my doorway. And if he had done and started that shit, I would have just say, "You see that door? Off you go." But back then, of course, you couldn't. You have to stand there and listen to all the bullshit that these bullshitters come out with. So anyway, I thought I'd just leave that with you. It's funny, isn't it? After like 30, I did recount this in another video ages ago, not remembering what he said, and then I don't think hopefully I've not done this again. But it just shows. It's just the power. The some of these elders, narcissistic, power mad, inept, window cleaning arseholes, and they're still at it today. They're still exactly the same. I don't think they've changed. I think they're exactly the same. It's just unbelievable. Literally they get to the position they are and they go like this. Right. It's unbelievable. Anyway, I'll go now. I don't know whether I'll do another video. I don't probably do one. I'm hopefully going to meet Dino next week, and maybe we'll have something to chat about. Maybe we'll meet this arsehole or his wife doing the carts. I don't know. Well, I'd love to be able to confront him again. Really, really would. Anyway, right, I'm off. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.